Lorreta Sage, Sandra Bullock, is a writer known for composing clearing experiences highlighting an imaginary legend named Run. She's amidst keeping in touch with her most recent book, envisioning herself and Run in a risky circumstance including snakes and cohorts. Nonetheless, she takes note of specific things amiss with it and erases everything. She ends up constrained over the demise of her traveler spouse from years earlier, alongside her marketing specialist Beth, Davina Happiness Randolph, who's requesting to see the most recent draft of her book. Later on, Lorreta, wearing a purple sequin jumpsuit, is welcomed to an exhibition to talk about the book, egged on by her marketing expert and her web-based entertainment chief, Patty Harrison. She's reluctant to go when she discovers that the cover model for Run, Alan Caprizan, Channing Tatum, will likewise be there. She goes in any case, and Alan comes in front of an audience to tremendous praise from the fans, wearing a phony blonde hairpiece. Someplace over the middle of the show, a fan requests Run to plunge Lorreta. She endeavors to make a cursory effort, yet rips off Alan's blonde hairpiece, finishing the show suddenly. Alan feels embarrassment due to the situation of Lorreta ripping his blonde in front of the audience. As he is the cover model in Lorreta's book, and it is the only work he has, he decides to remain patient. Subsequent to being reprimanded by her marketing expert, Lorreta finds her direction outside as opposed to heading to the following meeting she should be at. She isolates from Alan after a battle. She requires a vehicle, and is out of nowhere gotten in a dark SUV and encircled by puzzling thugs. Alan sees her heading out and attempts to seek after them, without much of any result. Lorreta encounters Abigail Fairfax, Daniel Radcliffe, an unusual very rich person who attempts to charm her with a lot of cheeses. He makes sense of that a curio indicates a strange fortune off of a little island, which could be cleaned away by a well of lava prepared to eject all of a sudden. He requests that Lorreta name her cost, yet she denies. He then uncovers that they have a plane hanging tight for her. One of the Abigail's men makes Lorreta feign and takes her out direct to the plane. Back at the inn, Alan feels culpability for what has been going on with Lorreta. He, her marketing expert, and her virtual entertainment supervisor attempt to find her. They call her several times, without the answers. Alan in the long run calls an old pal he did yoga with, Jack mentor, Brad Pitt, to assist with finding her by means of her savvy. He tells Alan to track Lorreta through her smartwatch, and advises Alan to meet him on the island and he'll have her covered in 48 hours or less. Lorreta wakes up on the plane during the unwanted journey to Abigail's island. Lorreta stirs, and is directed to a campsite where Abigail has settled in to explore the area of the fortune on the island. He has Lorreta secured and requests she get to work. In the meantime, Alan advances toward the island in unadulterated touristy design and gets together with Jack. Jack seems doesn't want to go with Alan to rescue Lorreta. But Alan insists and the two go off in a little vehicle to Abigail's compound. After a short rest, Abigail pressures Lorreta considerably more to decipher the little piece he's found indicating the fortune. She interprets it, however he maintains that her should rehash it. In the meantime, Coach dispatches of some of his soldiers while Alan, kept out of the vehicle he should remain in, fills in as a pointless reinforcement, periodically slapping a thug or two. Alan helps Jack during the fighting. He tells Jack to look for incoming soldiers coming from behind. The pair in the end advance toward Lorreta, yet can't unfasten her out of the seat. They wind up conveying her, seat and all, out of the compound as blasts go off. They advance back to the vehicle, yet before they can leave, Jack is shot in the head, with his mines all around Alan's face. They at last get into the vehicle, with Lorreta still in the seat, and take off. Abigail, incensed that Lorreta took the main unique piece with her, requests her recover. Lorreta and Alan pull over after a speedy departure, after Lorreta had dropped out of the vehicle. Alan removes her from the seat, however after they return to the vehicle, it falls over the side of the bluff, leaving them incapable to contact the specialists. They in the long run advance toward the vehicle, however the telephone is annihilated, and Alan recommends they go through the wilderness to get to the air terminal to arrive at the specialists. Abigail's men stay close behind. They move across the forest day and night. While in a forest, Lorreta tells Alan to go through the river. The idea Alan seems not to like it. Lorreta thinks is the best way Abigail's men will not find them. After a speedy trip in a little pound that leaves Alan covered with leeches, particularly on his butt, Lorreta takes them out from Alan's body and afterward at last arrives at a cascade. It's here that Lorreta utilizes the sign she took from Abigail to unravel the remainder of the baffling riddle he was attempting to settle, showing the fortune is concealed in some place with vast tears. The two then, at that point, wind up almost gotten by Abigail's soldiers, moving up a mountain to get away from them. Alan attempts to help Lorreta by pushing her from underneath, with his head between her legs. Ultimately, they come right to the top. At night in the forest, Alan and Lorreta start a fire. Alan make a little lounger for them. The two set up for business, discussing the experience they've had while in the long run, nodding off in a fairly little lounger. In the meantime, Abigail calls upon a threesome of bike-riding hooligans to take part in the pursuit. In the first part of the day, Lorreta in the long run lets Alan know her thought process of him, making sense of that he's simply a cover model searching for consideration. Alan really uncovers he came from a family and appreciates being run, as it satisfies the fans, and despises Lorreta for making an effort not to satisfy the fans. The pair start moving once more, in the long run advancing toward a little town. Subsequent to conversing with the nearby police for security, the couple get tidied up and begin to get to know the town people. Meanwhile, the marketing specialist has willingly volunteered to seek after Lorreta and get her covered. She takes a little contract to a small air terminal, where they in the long run tell her there's no ride. It's here she meets Oscar Nunez, and his goat, who are glad to take her there by transport. She at last arrives at a little police headquarters, just for them to tell her they're shut for the day. She in the end persuades them to help her. After a fast dance, egged on by a neighborhood lady, Lorreta gains from her a piece of information where the pool of vast tears could very well be, and demands Alan to accompany her to chase the fortune down. Eager to find her experienced soul once more, she persuades him and he goes to get a few supplies. Be that as it may, she finds Abigail pausing, he captures her again and starts to drive off. Alan asks for someone in town who has a vehicle. Likely he ends in getting a motorbike. Alan follows Abigail's on a little motorbike. Alan manages to get Abigail's vehicle with Lorreta inside. Following a short pursuit, Lorreta sets within the vehicle ablaze while Alan battles, inadequately, against Abigail's men up top. In the long run, the two are caught and prompted the island, where Abigail irately needs to track down the fortune. They move inside, where one of his men tumbles off a bluff side in the wake of taunting Lorreta. They manage a little passage and find a burial place holding up inside. Subsequent to opening up a grave forcibly, it's found that the fortune is just gathered shells, a demonstration of adoration for a man to his dearest. Furious that they don't track down anything, Abigail traps Lorreta and Alan inside a burial chamber as the fountain of liquid magma starts to eject. Abigail's soldier becomes the first to get out as he rushes out of the tunnel and runs with the boat, leaving poor Abigail's outside a tunnel yelling. Following a discussion inside a grave for a couple of moments about the experience they've had, Alan notices the crowbar, which they use to get them out. Abigail is met by the marketing specialist in the police powers, where he imagines he's a blameless casualty after his partner in crime takes off with the boat. In the interim, Lorreta and Alan likely get away from the burial chamber after numerous blasts. They swim down the tunnel and get outside, where they are saved by the marketing specialist. In the wake of coming clean about Abigail, he endeavors to get away, however is handled by Oscar, who says he has the marketing expert's back. Lorreta and Alan recuperate on a close-by rock, reproducing the cover for her next book, which distributes months after the fact. In the last scene, the marketing expert, the virtual entertainment supervisor, and Oscar are loosening up on an island following the send-off of their book, while Lorreta and Alan are close by, discussing the relationship they've made throughout the span of their experience. After a touch of odd discussion, they kiss passionately. In a mid-credits succession, Lorreta and Alan are participating in some loosening up yoga. Here Jack Mentor returns. They're in shock that he's alive, and he can't resist the urge to give them odd looks as they return to their unwinding.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe for more videos, and turn on the notifications.